Welcome to the channel, everybody. I really did debate doing this video, and I felt like it could easily be taken the wrong way maybe, but at the same time, I do want to explain to everybody still playing UFL, just how ratty the game has gotten because these exploits weren't removed from the game. Now, this is tied to my previous video where I made the point that, a commenter said these developers are to blame. It's their fault, the players using these rat tactics. They're just using what's in the game. But that's not the case. And I made the point that if they never use these rat tactics, we would all be playing regular football. Because if you're playing for skill and to try to get better at the game, you're not going to look for exploits. You're not going to look to see if the depth and the width of the defense is broken, if you could still stack players behind the box, if you can use this exploit, that exploit to try to make up for your lack of skill. You're going to set up your tactics to try to play football and to try to win the game based on the skill you have, right? And you're going to use the tactics that you like to use to match how you play, not use the tactics that make it to where you don't have to defend or make it to where you don't really have to use build up and you can use whatever exploit to score. That's what a rat does. And that's exactly what these tactics I'm about to talk to you about do. So, many players are using the 5-3-2. However, the true rats would know to use a 5-4-1 as you see here. Now, this exact setup was not meant to be a rat formation, right? I showed this for the players who were really struggling at defense at a different time of the game. And you can actually see in the player roles as well as the tactical setup that it's not on one depth, right? It's not on one bar of width, which is exactly how you would set it up to be a total rat. It's what they're doing right now. The lowest depth, right? So they sit as far back as possible, and the lowest width. Then you go to drop back, right? You're playing every player on drop back except maybe your striker, maybe your wingers, depending again on how ratty you are. The extreme rats will drop every player back, including their striker, within the player roles, right? Then they may play fast attack, so as soon as they win the ball, those players take off. Or they may keep it on possession and just look to play a pass to one of their players and then just L1, R2 sprint all the way up the field and try to score that way, especially because you don't even have to run that far, considering now you can hit 30, 40-yard finesse shots, especially if you have a Holland with a special skin or an Mbappe or whoever, which many of the rats do. So I'm not going to go over this like a true tactic setup where I show you everything, show you the player roles. I just wanted to let you know this is exactly what rats are doing. It's one depth, it's one width as far as defense goes. As far as the attack, it depends on how ratty you want to get. You could go fast attack, like I said previously. You could go possession if you just want to play a ball and let one of your players sprint up the field. Other rats will try to attack with some numbers at least, and those are the ones who would probably use fast attack or long ball to get some numbers forward, and then they just try to contain the opponent until all the players get behind the ball and they can sit inside their box or deep and try to control their midfielders and let the opponent, sort of run into that wall of defenders. Now, the other thing that is going on isn't only the sit back part, because you also have the fact that the shooting is totally broken. So you're going to have to deal with certain players. You're going to have to always deal with that sprint boost, right? And you're going to have to close players down a lot further out. Now, how does that tie to this type of tactic? Because in a 5-4-1, you're going to be lacking, even if you do fast attack or something like that, you're going to be lacking that diverse attack that some of the other setups have, which is fine now for rats because you only need that one player to sprint up the field and shoot the ball from 30 yards out. I mean, it just makes it that much easier. This game literally is built more for rats now than it ever was before, and that was one of the biggest problems that everyone was hoping was going to be fixed with this patch. They actually went and made it easier and more enticing for rats to play, because now they can get wins with even less skill, even less build-up. They don't even have to pass the ball. I've played opponents that will just rainbow it, try to perfectly time rainbows, all the way up the field until they get to a certain point, and then they just hammer out that finesse shot, right? There's certain players that will try to play a little bit, but it's still the same thing. They'll go for the L2 cross or just look every single time for that one snapshot with Ronaldo. Now, the snapshot part, I get. That's one of the few guaranteed ways to score outside of that 30-yard finesse shot, right? Where you're not going to possibly hit the post or possibly have the goalie make that same animation save that they make from point-blank range. So I get the snapshot part, but that L2 cross, the frustrating thing is you can't defend it, and players still can use it, right? And then you'll have your header glitchers too that just try to put Holland or whatever tall striker up and just loft crosses in there because they didn't change the fact that height still matters for crosses. But anyways, this is exactly the setup players will use, either the 5-4-1 or the 5-3-2. They'll have it on one depth, one width. Then they'll have every one of their players on drop back in the player roles. And then from there, you can choose. Maybe their wingers will be on balance instead of drop back. Maybe their striker will be the only one that stays up. Everyone else is on drop back. But at the very least, you're going with your 5 defenders on staying completely defensive. Then your midfielders, central midfielders, staying completely defensive. Then, again, depending on the level or rat, your wingers, midfielders are either completely drop back or at least balance. Maybe some players may keep both or one up. And then some will even pull their striker back, but some will leave them up, right? Now, it's up to you if you want to keep playing this game and utilize these tactics this way. I would never do it. There's no way. I'm going to be playing FC. I'm going to be playing eFootball, and I'm going to be keeping my eye out. And strikers, I'll be rooting for them to fix the game. But after this last patch, it's like, how many times are you going to repeat the same thing over and over before it's insanity, right? We keep expecting different results, and we get the same results. So at this point, until I see something totally change, UFL will just be sort of a game that I touch base on and try to help players like I am now. More so, I hope the players realize, considering this is the way that this is like the meta, right? This game is just not worth playing. But if you do want to play and you say, hey, I want to win, I don't just want to play, this unfortunately is what you'd have to do, right? Now, you can set up a regular formation for opponents that you're better than, right? And you could actually play some football if you have somewhat decency in you. And then you could even set up a second, mid formation where you still have players back, but you send more players up and just have this one rat tactic. Maybe you just use it against other ratty players, and then against regular players, you say, okay, I'm going to play regular. I don't really know. Like I said, I don't even want to be in this position, so I'm not going to think about it because I'm not going to be playing the game like that. I'll tell you when I do play, I'm going to go in my same 4-1-2-1-2 wide, right? Regular formation. I'm going to play a regular way. I'm going to try to defend manually, and if I lose, I lose. It is what it is, but that will be few and far between when I'm actually playing the game. I just want to let you know what I would be doing. So there you have it. This is the ratty devil's tactics, as I call it in the title in the thumbnail. So I wish you guys the best if you are playing this game. In either way, keep grinding, keep having fun, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.